What's up, guys? Today we are taking a look at the best cubes for 2021, starting with the 2x2. So, the best 2x2s in the market are the Walk Elite and the YGMGC. Walk Elite is a little bit more stable than the YGMGC. YGMGC is quite fast, but it also has pretty strong magnets, but it's still pretty fast, not but still is one of the best after the Walk Elite. The other 2x2 I want to mention, which is also pretty good, is I have heard that the GAN 2x2 is GAN 251 2x2 is actually pretty good. I've never tried it, and I have the YGMGC 2x2, which is more famous, so I think this is better than that. But if you want, you can buy that one. But still, that one is $30, this is $10. And back to the Walk Elite, it is pretty stable and I've heard it's great, but I've never tried it. But it's also twice the price of MGC. This is $10, that is $20. And if you're starting off with 2x2, I would recommend either this one or the YG UPO, which is magnetic, of $7, and it is able to compete with some other ones like this or the Walk or the GAN. Next, for 3x3, we all know that 3x3s, for 3x3 there are some great cubes and of pretty different prices. First, for the budget cubes, the top budget cubes in my opinion are the RSTM 2020 and the Yushin Little Magic. I don't know the price of Yushin Little Magic, but the RSTM 2020 is $9. There are also GEMS cubes which are $8, but I would recommend this one because this has the GTS3 spring system, and the uh, GMS don't have a system for swapping out the springs or anything like that. And the Yushin Little Magic is also pretty great, but it does not have again a spring compression system like this one does. Now on to the expensive ones. The best cube in the expensive ones is obviously the GAN 11M Pro. That is $65 to $70. There are four different uh, themes you can have. One is frosted black internals, frosted primary internals, and soft and primary internals, and UV coated in primary internals. I don't know how the primary and not primary, soft and UV coated feel, because I don't think so there any cube with them and I have not tried them. And the second I want to mention is the GAN XS, which is the previous model of the 11M Pro. Is also great. It's $60, but you should ask yourself the question, why should you buy the GAN XS when you can buy the 11M Pro, which is just $5 more than XS, and it has a little bit similar feeling but a little bit better. It feels like as if it's the GAN XS but have the soft feeling of the Dian Tengian, and like a pretty strange magnetic feel because it has more magnets than a normal cube, but it still feels pretty great with that magnetic feel. So the best is the GAN 11M Pro, but if you want a little bit cheaper, you can get the Dian Tengen version 2, which is a very soft cube and has a soft smooth feel. Its sound is pretty low pitch and it's also pretty soft, so it does not make that much sound. Then this the Walk Elite, Walk 3 Elite, which has 96 magnets, which is crazy. It's also a little bit heavy, but it still has a pretty unique feel and it's one of the best ones. And both of those cubes are half the price of the 11M Pro. So I think you can choose whichever one you want. If you can get a similar feeling of both of them in the 11M Pro, but you can get them separately as well. It doesn't make that much price difference. Both of them are around $70 if you get both of them, and the 11M Pro is itself $70. So for the 4x4s, in the budget 4x4s, I don't think there are a lot of great ones, but the two I would recommend is that if you have big hands, I don't have big hands, I have pretty small hands, but if you have big hands, the best is the GMS in the budget ones. It performs great, it is very smooth and it is very good. And but it is pretty large, that is why I'm recommending if you have big hands. And if you have small hands, I think you should get the YG Yusu V2. This is the Yusu V1, but for small hands you can get the YG Yusu V2. It's great. It has a little bit of a similar feeling. I don't know how the Chi EMS feels like because I've never tried it, but the YG Yusu V2 is pretty great. Now for the 5x5. This is not that great of 5x5s in the budget ones, but the top recommendation for me is the not YG, Yushin Little Magic 5x5. It's great, and Yushin have always blessed us with some of the best budget cubes in the world. And the 5x5 is pretty great. I would say this is the best budget 5x5 in the market. There is a lot different 5x5s, and for the flagship ones, the best 5x5 is the Walk, Chi Walk, and pretty much every professional 5x5 solvers use that. But there's also the YJ MGC, which is pretty great and is a little bit cheaper, but still not as good. But it's it is comparable. And now I don't have a 6x6, so I will be just giving you recommendations without a 6x6. I will use a Megaminx. I don't know why. Okay, for the 6x6, the best 6x6 is the YJ MGC 6x6. It is great, and when it first came out, it was crazy. It was like the fastest 6x6, and it still is. The X-Men Shadow 6x6 before the YJ MGC was the best, but its inner layers, the most middle layer, was pretty slow, and JPOM also said that it was pretty slow. So when the MGC 6x6 came out, it was crazy that a 6x6 was that fast. So that is the cube for 6x6. Now for 7x7, which I again don't have. So for 7x7, the best 7x7 right now is again the YJ MGC 7x7. YJ have been coming out with some great cubes recently. In 2018, YJ was not a big company. Not a lot of people even knew about it. But after 2019, YJ is a big company. And when I say big, I mean big. It has some of the best big cubes in the world. Their 3x3 is not that great, but their 7x7, 6x6 and 5x5 are great, and even their 4x4s are pretty decently good. So for the 7x7, the YJ MGC 7x7 is the best, and obviously as I mentioned, the YJ MGC 2x2 is also the second best 2x2 after the Walk. And for 7x7, again YJ MGC 7x7 is the best one you can get. But if you don't want that, and there's no reason not to, but if you want to spend a little bit more money, you have the X-Men Spark, which is pretty great, but it's not as good as the YJ MGC 7x7. So why should you buy a more expensive 7x7 when you have a cheaper 7x7 which is even better? And there's one 7x7 also, the Yushin Haze, which is a little bit bigger in size. So if you have big hands, you can get that one as well, because that is also great, and it is a great 7x7. Yeah, before I end off, I just want to say that the MGC 7x7 is 5 millimeters, not 5 millimeters, 0.5 millimeters bigger than the not the Yushin, bigger than the Spark, but it does not make that difference. But in performance, it's great. Yeah, and one more thing, the colors on the Spark look a little bit better, but it doesn't matter that much. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And I just want to say, make sure to like if you like the content, and if you want to support me further, make sure to subscribe. Until then, bye bye and peace out.